Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Night Watch and watched the stars through the main viewing window. His ship had been traveling through empty space for 3 weeks now, following strange energy readings that appeared on their long-range sensors. The Galactic Council had ordered him to investigate these signals, but so far they had found nothing but darkness and distant stars. "Captain, we are getting something on the sensors," said Commander Ryan Blake from his station. Ryan had been Jake's second in command for 5 years now, and Jake trusted him more than anyone else on the ship. "There is a large object about 2 million kilometers ahead of us." Jake moved to the sensor station and looked at the display. The object was huge, much bigger than any ship he had ever seen. It was not moving and appeared to be completely dark, with no power readings at all. "What do you think it is, Ryan?" I'm not sure, sir. It does not match anything in our databases. The size suggests it might be some kind of space station, but it is very old. The metal shows signs of extreme age." Dr. Lisa Chang walked onto the bridge at that moment. She was the ship's xenoarchaeologist and expert on alien cultures. The council had sent her with them specifically to study any unusual findings. "Captain, I have been monitoring the sensor readings from my lab. This object is definitely artificial, and it predates anything we have ever discovered. I would estimate it is at least several million years old." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Several million years meant this station was built long before any of the current galactic civilizations existed. Even the oldest council races only had histories going back a few 100,000 years. "Can we get closer safely?" "The object appears to be completely inactive," Ryan reported. "No energy signatures, no radiation, no movement. It seems safe to approach." "Take us in slowly," Jake ordered. "Full scans on everything. Lisa, I want you to record every detail." As the Night Watch moved closer, the ancient station became more visible on their screens. It was massive, easily the size of a small moon, and covered in strange geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. The metal was a dark color that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Towers and spires jutted out from the main structure in ways that made no sense according to human engineering principles. "Captain, I am detecting some kind of docking bay on the lower section," Ryan said. "It appears to be designed for ships much smaller than ours, but we could probably fit. Are you picking up any signs of atmosphere inside?" "Yes, sir. The internal atmosphere is similar to what humans can breathe, though it is very thin. We would need environmental suits." Jake made his decision. "Prepare a small landing party. Ryan, Lisa, and myself, plus 2 security officers. We are going aboard." An hour later, Jake found himself floating through the corridors of the ancient station. Their magnetic boots clicked against metal floors as they moved deeper into the structure. Emergency lighting had somehow activated when they entered, casting strange shadows on the walls. The corridors were built for beings much taller than humans, with ceilings that disappeared into darkness above their heads. "The architecture is unlike anything I have ever seen," Lisa said through their communication system. "These patterns, on the walls, they are not just decorative. They seem to serve some kind of function, but I cannot determine what." They reached what appeared to be a central control room. Banks of strange devices lined the walls, all dark and silent. In the center of the room stood a large console with a chair that was clearly not designed for human use. Lisa approached one of the wall panels and began taking readings with her scanner. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, her voice filled with excitement and fear. "This panel is still active. It is just waiting for the right activation sequence." "Can you activate it?" "I think so. The interface seems to be designed to work with neural patterns. If I connect my scanner to it." Lisa worked for several minutes, making careful adjustments to her equipment. Suddenly, the panel came to life with a soft blue glow. Symbols appeared on the screen, shifting and changing in patterns that seemed almost familiar. Lisa studied them carefully, making notes on her portable computer. "Captain, I can read some of this. It appears to be some kind of database with records of different species." "What kind of records?" "Biological data, cultural information, technological, development levels. And Captain, there are records here for every species currently on the Galactic Council." Jake felt another chill. "That is impossible. This station is millions of years old. The council species were not even spacefaring back then. That is not the strangest part, Lisa continued, her voice becoming quieter. There are records here, for humanity as well. Detailed records going back thousands of years, including information about Earth that was supposedly unknown until first contact with the Council. Ryan moved closer to look at the display. What does that mean? It means someone has been watching us for a very long time, Jake said grimly. Someone knew about humanity long before we knew about them. Lisa continued working with the database, accessing more files. Captain, there are video records here. Surveillance footage of Council ships observing Earth going back centuries. They were watching our development, recording our progress. So, first contact was not an accident, Ryan said. No, Lisa replied. According to these records, humanity was specifically selected for something. The files reference some kind of evaluation process and mention that humans passed certain tests. Jake activated his communication system to contact the ship. Morrison to Nightwatch. We need immediate contact with Ambassador Carter on Earth. Priority 1. Captain, we are receiving your transmission, but there seems to be some interference. We are also detecting that our communications are being monitored by unknown sources. Jake looked at Ryan and Lisa. Someone else knows we are here. Lisa had continued working with the database while they were talking. Captain, I have accessed another section of files. This station is not alone. There are others, many others, scattered throughout Council space, and they are all connected through some kind of network. A network of what? Monitoring stations. Someone has been watching the entire galaxy for millions of years. Every civilization, every species, every major development has been recorded and analyzed. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the station. The emergency lighting changed from blue to red, and new displays activated all around them. Lisa checked her scanner readings. Captain, the station is powering up. All systems are coming online. We need to get back to the ship immediately, Jake ordered. As they moved quickly through the corridors, they could hear the station coming to life around them. Machinery that had been silent for eons began to hum with power. The patterns on the walls began to glow with the same blue light they had seen in the control room. They reached their shuttle just as the station completed its activation sequence. As the Nightwatch pulled away, Jake watched through the viewing window as the ancient structure began broadcasting a signal into deep space. The signal was powerful enough to reach across the entire galaxy. Where is that signal going? He asked. Lisa checked her readings. I am tracking multiple destinations. It appears to be activating other stations throughout Council space. Captain, whatever we have awakened, it is much bigger than just this one station. Jake received a message from Ambassador Carter, ordering them to return immediately and classify all their findings. But he also noticed that their communications were being monitored not just by human command, but by unknown Council entities as well. As the Nightwatch entered hyperspace, Jake realized they had discovered something that would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. The question was whether they would live long enough to tell anyone about it. Jake Morrison made a decision that would change the course of human history. Instead of following Ambassador Carter's orders to return immediately, he ordered the Nightwatch to follow the signal they had detected from the ancient station. Ryan, Blake looked at him with concern but said nothing. He trusted his captain's judgment even when it meant disobeying direct orders from Earth. Captain, the signal is leading us to a system that does not appear on any Council star charts. Ryan reported from his station. Long-range sensors show multiple artificial structures in orbit around the fourth planet. Dr. Lisa Chang had not left the bridge since their discovery at the first station. She had been studying the data they had collected, trying to understand what they had found. Captain, I have been analyzing the database files we downloaded. The beings who built that station called themselves the Architects. According to their records, they were responsible for guiding the development of galactic civilization. What do you mean by guiding? Jake asked. They did not just observe different species. They actively influenced their development through careful manipulation of key events. Wars, technological discoveries, even first contact between different civilizations were all orchestrated by the Architects. The Nightwatch dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the unknown system. What they saw before them was beyond anything they had imagined. Dozens of massive structures orbited the planet, each one different in design, but clearly built by the same ancient civilization. Some looked like cities floating in space. Others resembled huge machines with purposes they could not guess. "Captain, I am receiving a transmission," the communications officer reported. "It is from Earth. Admiral Kate Washington is requesting immediate contact." Jake activated the communication system. Admiral Washington's face appeared on the main screen, and she did not look happy. "Captain Morrison, you were ordered to return to Earth immediately. What is your current position?" "Admiral, we have discovered something that changes everything we thought we knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. We need to investigate further before we report back." "Captain, you are in direct violation of your orders. Ambassador Carter has informed me that your discoveries have been classified at the highest levels. You will return to Earth immediately or face court-martial." Jake looked at Lisa and Ryan before responding. "Admiral, with respect, I believe this discovery is too important to be buried. The data we have found suggests that humanity has been manipulated by unknown forces for thousands of years." Before Admiral Washington could respond, Professor Sam Rodriguez appeared on screen beside her. Jake recognized him as one of Earth's leading experts on ancient civilizations. "Captain Morrison, I have been brought in to analyze your preliminary findings. Based on what Ambassador Carter has told me, I believe you may have discovered evidence of the beings mentioned in many of humanity's oldest myths and legends." "What do you mean, Professor?" "Stories of beings from the sky who guided human development exist in cultures all across Earth. The Greek gods, the Mesopotamian Anunnaki, the Hindu devas, they all describe similar entities who possessed advanced technology and influenced human civilization. If your architects are real, they might be the source of these legends." Admiral Washington looked frustrated. "Captain, regardless of what you may have found, you have your orders. I am dispatching a fleet to your location to escort you back to Earth." The communication ended, and Jake turned to his crew. "How long before Admiral Washington's fleet arrives?" "At maximum speed, at least 18 hours, Ryan replied. "That gives us time to investigate these structures. Lisa, can you determine which one might contain the most important information?" Lisa studied her sensor readings. "The largest structure appears to be some kind of central command center. It is the only one showing any active power signatures." Jake made another decision that would have consequences he could not imagine. "Take us to the command center. We are going aboard." The central structure was even more impressive up close. It was the size of a small city, with multiple docking bays designed for ships of various sizes. As the night watch approached, one of the bays opened automatically, and their ship was guided inside by some kind of automated system. The docking bay filled with breathable atmosphere as soon as they landed. Jake led another small team into the structure, including Lisa and Ryan, as well as Dr. Tony Martinez, their technology specialist. The corridors inside were similar to the first station, but much more elaborate. The walls were covered with complex patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. They reached what was clearly the main control center, a vast room filled with holographic displays and control systems that were still active after millions of years. In the center of the room stood a pedestal with what appeared to be some kind of interface device. "Captain, this technology is beyond anything the Council races have ever developed," Tony said as he scanned the equipment. "The power systems alone are more advanced than our best theoretical models." Lisa approached the central interface. "The same neural connection system as the first station. I think I can access their main database." As she connected her equipment to the interface, the entire room came to life. Holographic displays activated all around them, showing star charts, biological data, and historical records spanning millions of years. The information was overwhelming, but certain patterns became clear. "Captain, this is incredible," Lisa said, her voice filled with awe. "The architects did not just influence galactic civilization, they created it. Every major advancement, every peaceful contact between species, every solution to extinction-level problems, it was all guided by architect intervention." "But where are they now?" Ryan asked. According to these records, they transcended physical existence approximately 3 million years ago, but they left behind this network of automated systems to continue their work. Tony had been studying the technical specifications displayed on one of the screens. "Captain, you need to see this. Human neural patterns are specifically mentioned in these files. Our brain structure is uniquely compatible with architect technology. No other known species can interface with these systems the way humans can." Jake felt a growing sense of unease. "Are you saying we were designed by them?" "Not designed exactly, but definitely guided. The architects influenced human evolution over thousands of years to create beings who could eventually serve as their successors." Lisa discovered more disturbing information as she accessed deeper levels of the database. "Captain, the Galactic Council itself was created by architect design. The peace treaties, the governmental structure, even the location of the council capital, everything was planned by the architects. The current council leadership has no idea they are following a script written millions of years ago." Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the structure. Tony checked his readings. "Captain, we have incoming ships, multiple contacts approaching, at high speed." Admiral Washington's fleet had arrived earlier than expected, but as Jake watched the tactical display, he realized something was wrong. The approaching ships were not just human vessels. Council warships were also closing in on their position. "It seems both sides want to control this discovery," Jake said grimly. The first shots were not fired by the human or council fleets. The architect installations around the planet suddenly activated defensive systems that had been dormant for eons. Massive energy weapons emerged from hidden positions and began targeting any ship that approached without authorization. Admiral Washington's flagship was the first to be hit. The energy beam passed through their shields as if they did not exist, but instead of destroying the ship, it seemed to disable it completely. The same happened to the council vessels. Within minutes, both fleets were floating helplessly in space. "Captain, the defensive systems are not targeting us," Tony reported. "Our ship is being recognized as authorized." "Authorized by who?" Lisa looked up from the interface. "By the architect systems. Captain, our neural patterns are on file as acceptable operators. We have been cleared to access architect technology, but no one else has." Jake realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humanity had been chosen for a purpose they were only beginning to understand, and that purpose was apparently important enough for ancient machines to protect them from both human and alien interference. As the disabled fleets floated helplessly in space, Jake and his team continued to study the architect databases. What they learned would change not just humanity's understanding of their past, but their entire future in the galaxy. Admiral Kate Washington stared at the disabled ships floating around the architect installation and knew that everything had changed. Her fleet was powerless, held in place by technology that made council defenses look like children's toys. Through the communication system, she could hear the panic and confusion from both human and alien commanders who suddenly found themselves completely helpless. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from Captain Morrison," her communications officer reported. Jake Morrison's face appeared on the main screen, and Washington could see the architect control room behind him. "Admiral, I know this situation looks bad, but we need to talk. What we have discovered here affects not just humanity, but every species in the galaxy. Captain, you are in direct violation of multiple orders. When we regain control of our ships, you will be placed under arrest. Admiral, please listen to what Dr. Chang has discovered before you make any decisions you might regret." Washington agreed, mainly because she had no other choice. Her ships were trapped, and Morrison seemed to be the only person who could communicate with the ancient systems that had disabled them. Dr. Lisa Chang appeared on screen beside Morrison. "Admiral, the architect databases contain detailed records of council activities going back 2 centuries. What we have found suggests that several council species have known about humanity's special nature for decades." "What do you mean by special nature?" "Human neural patterns are uniquely compatible with architect technology. No other known species can interface with these systems. Some council races discovered this during early contact with humanity and have been working to suppress human expansion ever since." Director Alex Morgan of the Human Intelligence Division had been monitoring the situation from Earth. His face appeared on a secondary screen. "Admiral, we have been conducting our own investigation based on Captain Morrison's preliminary reports. What Dr. Chang is saying matches intelligence we have gathered about certain Council activities." "What kind of activities?" Washington asked. "Trade restrictions that specifically target human colonies, territorial disputes that always seem to favor alien claimants over human settlers, and military deployments that keep human forces spread thin across the galaxy. We always assumed it was normal political maneuvering, but now it appears to be a coordinated effort to limit human influence." Captain Nicole Davis, leader of an elite human strike team, had been investigating Council facilities for the past week. Her voice came through another communication channel. "Admiral, I can confirm Director Morgan's findings. We have evidence that at least 6 Council species have been meeting in secret to discuss the human problem for over 30 years. Washington felt a growing sense of betrayal. "What else have you found?" Dr. Tony Martinez, still working with the Architect systems, provided the most shocking revelation. "Admiral, the Council is not the first galactic civilization. According to these records, there have been multiple cycles of development and transcendence over millions of years. Each cycle was guided by Architect technology, and each ended with the dominant species evolving beyond physical existence. And the current Council? They represent species that have refused to transcend. They have been fighting against the natural progression of galactic evolution for over 1,000,000 years, maintaining their power by preventing other races from reaching their full potential." Lisa added more disturbing information. "The Architect systems were designed to eventually trigger another transcendence event. Humanity is the key to that process. Our unique neural compatibility allows us to activate systems that have been dormant for eons." Washington began to understand the implications. So the Council leadership has been suppressing humanity to prevent this transcendence event. "Not just the leadership," Director Morgan said grimly. "We have intercepted communications from Council Speaker Vorthian, ordering human territories to be quarantined. They are claiming there is a dangerous plague affecting human colonies, but our medical teams have found no evidence of any disease. It is a pretext to isolate humanity while the Council decides our fate," Morrison said from the Architect station. "Admiral, we are facing a choice. We can submit to Council authority and abandon our destiny, or we can fight for the right to fulfill the purpose the Architects intended for us." Washington looked at the disabled Council ships surrounding her fleet. Even their most advanced technology was useless against Architect defenses. "What exactly are you proposing, Captain?" "The Architect systems are awakening throughout the galaxy. For 2 centuries, human peacekeeping forces have been positioned at key locations without realizing they were guarding dormant Architect installations. If we activate these systems simultaneously, we can level the playing field." Dr. Martinez provided technical details. "The Architect network spans the entire galaxy. There are installations in every sector where humans have been deployed. Most are hidden or disguised, but they are all connected and waiting for activation commands." Director Morgan had been coordinating with human forces across the galaxy. "Admiral, I have teams standing by at 17 confirmed Architect sites. If Captain Morrison can provide the activation codes, we can bring these systems online within hours." Washington realized she was being asked to make a decision that would reshape galactic politics forever. What about the alien species that support human integration into the Council? Are we prepared to fight our allies as well as our enemies? Captain Davis answered that question. "Admiral, we have been in contact with representatives from several alien species. Many of them are tired of Council stagnation and fear of progress. They have indicated they would support humanity if we move against the current leadership." "Which species?" "The Zethkari have suspected the truth about Architect influence for generations. The Mortai are frustrated with Council trade restrictions that limit their technological development. Even some factions within the Velnari military believe the Council has become too conservative." Lisa provided additional context from the Architect databases. "Admiral, these species are not alone. The records show that throughout galactic history, there have always been those who embrace change and those who resist it. The current council represents the resistors, but there are millions of beings who are ready for the next step in evolution. Washington made her decision. Captain Morrison, transmit the activation codes to all human forces. Director Morgan, coordinate with our alien allies. We are going to show the Council what humanity is really capable of. As the activation codes spread through the galaxy, ancient systems that had slept for millions of years began to wake up. On 100 worlds, massive structures emerged from underground hiding places. Space stations that had been dismissed as natural phenomena suddenly revealed their true nature. Defensive networks that had been dormant for eons came online with power that dwarfed anything the Council possessed. The quarantine of human territories ended abruptly as Council forces found themselves facing technology they could not understand or defeat. Human ships, suddenly protected by Architect defensive systems, broke through Council blockades with ease. But the real shock came when the scope of Architect influence became clear. Every major Council facility had been built on or near dormant Architect installations. The Council capital itself was revealed to be constructed around a massive Architect complex that had been hidden beneath the surface for millions of years. Speaker, Vorthon found himself trapped in his own capital as Architect systems activated all around him. The technology his people had used to build their civilization was revealed to be nothing more than crude copies of Architect designs. Admiral Washington, her ships now protected by Architect shields and powered by Architect energy sources, sent a message to the Council leadership. This is Admiral Washington of the Human Space Command. The age of Council dominance is over. Humanity claims its rightful place as guardians of galactic evolution, and we invite all species ready for growth to join us in building a better future. The response from various Council worlds was immediate and divided. Some species rallied to support the existing order, terrified of the changes humanity represented. Others openly declared their support for the human cause, ready to embrace whatever came next. The galaxy had been divided into two camps, and the war for the future of all sentient life was about to begin. General Peter Stone stood in the command center on Mars and watched as reports came in from across the galaxy. The activation of Architect systems had fundamentally changed the balance of power, but the Council was not surrendering without a fight. Admiral Kreenox, the most aggressive of the Council military leaders, had assembled a massive fleet to strike at key human positions. General, we have confirmed activation of Architect systems in 47 sectors, reported engineer Amy Foster, who had become humanity's leading expert on Architect technology integration. Human forces now have access to defensive networks, enhanced weaponry, and faster-than-light communication systems that operate independently of Council infrastructure. What about our alien allies? Stone asked. The Zethkari have fully committed their forces to our cause. The Mortai are providing technical support and intelligence. Several Velnari battle groups have defected from the Council military and are requesting permission to join our operations. Captain Luke Thompson, now commanding the largest human battle fleet in history, appeared on the communication screen. General, Admiral Kreenox's forces are moving to attack the human colony at New Geneva. They have over 300 ships, including their newest dreadnoughts. How many ships do we have in that sector, Luke? 47 human vessels and 12 allied ships. We are outnumbered 5-1. Stone looked at Amy Foster. Can the Architect systems level those odds? General, you need to understand what we are dealing with. The Architect defensive networks are not just weapons. They are strategic systems designed to protect entire star systems. If Captain Thompson can lure the Council fleet close to the Architect installation at New Geneva, we can activate defenses that will make the size of their fleet irrelevant. The battle at New Geneva became the turning point of the conflict. Admiral Kreenox approached the human colony expecting an easy victory against a vastly outnumbered fleet. What he found instead was a demonstration of Architect power that shocked both sides of the war. As the Council fleet moved into attack position, massive weapon platforms emerged from what appeared to be empty space around the colony. The platforms had been hidden using architect technology that bent light and sensor readings, making them invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. The Council dreadnoughts, the most powerful ships in their fleet, found their shields and weapons completely useless against architect technology. Energy beams that should have destroyed human ships simply passed through architect-enhanced defenses without causing any damage. Meanwhile, the ancient weapons platforms fired energy pulses that disabled Council ships without destroying them, leaving their crews alive but helpless. "This is impossible," Admiral Kreenox transmitted to his remaining ships. "Their technology should not be able to penetrate our shields." Captain Thompson responded from his flagship. "Admiral, you are fighting technology that is millions of years more advanced than anything your people have ever seen. Surrender now and your crews will be treated with dignity." "I will not surrender to inferior beings who have stolen ancient weapons," Kreenox replied. "We did not steal anything. We were chosen for this responsibility." The battle continued for 3 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. One by one, the Council ships were disabled and left floating helplessly in space. When the fighting ended, Admiral Kreenox's mighty fleet had been reduced to wreckage and prisoners without the loss of a single human life. News of the victory spread throughout the galaxy within hours, thanks to the Architect communication network that operated faster than any Council system. The psychological impact was enormous. Species that had considered humans to be junior partners in galactic civilization suddenly realized they were facing beings with access to godlike technology, but the victory at New Geneva was only the beginning. Reports came in from across human space of similar encounters. Council forces that had been confident of victory found themselves facing defensive systems they could not comprehend or overcome. Human colonies that should have fallen within hours were revealed to be protected by technology that made them essentially invulnerable. The scope of architect influence became clear as more installations revealed themselves. For 2 centuries, human peacekeeping forces had been positioned at strategic locations throughout Council space. Military leaders had assumed these positions were chosen for tactical advantages, but now the truth was obvious. Every human military base, every peacekeeping station, every diplomatic outpost had been built near dormant architect installations. It was never a coincidence, General Stone realized as he studied the galactic deployment maps. Every mission, every assignment, every strategic decision was guided by architect systems. We have been their guardians without even knowing it. Engineer Foster had been working day and night to understand the full capabilities of the architect network. "General, the installations we have activated so far represent less than 10% of the total system. There are thousands of hidden sites throughout the galaxy, all waiting for human activation." "What are they waiting for?" "The Master Archive. According to the database files Captain Morrison downloaded, there is a central command system that controls the entire network. If we can find and activate it, we will have access to architect technology beyond anything we have seen so far." The search for the Master Archive became humanity's top priority. Dr. Lisa Chang, still working with the original architect database, discovered references to an installation hidden in the galactic core. The journey would be dangerous, requiring passage through regions of space that were largely unexplored and potentially hostile. "General, I volunteer to lead the mission to find the Master Archive," Captain Morrison transmitted from his position near the first architect station they had discovered. "Jake, that region of space is completely unmapped. We have no idea what dangers you might face." The architect systems seem to respond to human presence. If anyone can navigate safely to the galactic core, it will be a human crew. Stone approved the mission, but he also authorized the largest support fleet in human history to accompany Morrison's team. The stakes were too high to take any chances. As the human fleet prepared for the journey to the galactic core, Council forces regrouped for what they knew would be their final opportunity to stop humanity's rise to power. Speaker Vorthon had convinced the remaining Council species that they were facing an extinction-level threat. "If we allow humanity to fully activate the architect network," he argued before the Council Assembly, "we will all become slaves to beings who were supposed to be our junior partners. This is our last chance to preserve the galactic order that has maintained peace for centuries." The final battle of the war would take place at the galactic core, where ancient secrets would be revealed and the destiny of all galactic civilization would be decided. Humanity's silent vigil over the architect installations was ending, but their true responsibility as guardians of galactic evolution was just beginning. Captain Jake Morrison stood before the largest artificial structure ever discovered as his fleet emerged from hyperspace at the galactic core. The Master Archive was a sphere the size of a small planet, its surface covered in the same geometric patterns they had seen on every architect installation. But this structure was different. It was alive with energy, pulsing with power that could be felt even through their ship's shielding. "Captain, we are receiving multiple incoming signals," reported Commander Ryan Blake. "Council forces human, reinforcements, and something else I cannot identify." Dr. Lisa Chang studied the readings from her science station. "Captain, the unknown signals are coming from the Master Archive itself. Whatever intelligence controls this place knows we are here." President Maria Santos, who had been elected to lead unified humanity during the crisis, appeared on the communication screen from Earth. "Captain Morrison, the entire galaxy is watching what happens at the Archive. Both Council and human forces are converging on your position. What you discover there will determine the future of every sentient being in the galaxy." Before Morrison could respond, a new voice spoke directly into the minds of everyone on the bridge. The voice was ancient beyond measure, but somehow familiar, as if it had been speaking to humanity for thousands of years. "Welcome, children of Earth. I am the Architect Prime, the collective consciousness of all who came before. We have been waiting for you to find us." The main view screen activated without anyone touching the controls, showing not the space around them, but the interior of the Master Archive. What they saw defied understanding. Infinite corridors of light stretching in all directions, filled with beings made of pure energy who had once been flesh and blood like themselves. "You are the architects," Morrison said aloud, knowing somehow that the entity could hear him. "We were, long ago. We transcended physical existence 3 million years ago, but we remained to guide those who would follow. Every galactic civilization goes through the same cycle: growth, conflict, and eventual choice between stagnation and transcendence." Dr. Chang leaned forward, her scientific mind racing with questions. "Why did you choose humanity for this role?" "We did not choose you alone. Throughout the galaxy's history, in every cycle, there emerges one species with the unique neural patterns necessary to interface with our technology. You are the culmination of millions of years of careful guidance, but you are not the first, nor will you be the last." The view screen changed to show the approaching fleets. Council forces under Admiral Kreenox were closing in from one direction, while human reinforcements led by General Stone approached from another. But there were also ships from dozens of alien species, some supporting the Council, others backing humanity. "The time for choice has come," the Architect Prime continued. "The Transcendence Protocol has been building toward activation for millions of years. Your role is not to decide for others, but to serve as guides for those ready to take the next step in evolution." President Santos spoke from Earth. "What does transcendence mean? What happens to those who choose it?" "Transcendence is the evolution beyond physical limitations. Those who choose it will join us in a realm of pure consciousness, unlimited by the constraints of matter and time. But the choice must be made freely by each individual and each species." Council Arbiter Malthek, representing moderate alien leaders who had been seeking peaceful resolution, appeared on another communication channel. "Architect Prime, many of our species fear this change. What of those who wish to remain in physical form? The galaxy is vast enough for both states of existence. Those who transcend will help guide and protect those who remain, ensuring that future generations always have the choice we are offering now." Morrison realized that the responsibility being placed on humanity was far greater than anything they had imagined. "How do we activate this Transcendence Protocol?" "The activation has already begun. Your awakening of the Architect Network throughout the galaxy has prepared the way. Now you must make the choice that will determine not just humanity's future, but the future of all galactic civilization. The space around the Master Archive suddenly filled with ships from every corner of the galaxy. Council forces, human fleets, and vessels from hundreds of different species all converged on the ancient structure. But instead of engaging in battle, they waited, as if some instinct told them this was a moment for decision rather than conflict. Speaker Vorthon's voice came through the communication system, filled with fear and anger. "Humanity, you are condemning the galaxy to chaos. The order we have maintained for centuries will be destroyed." General Stone responded from his flagship. "Speaker, the order you represent has been built on suppressing the natural development of countless species. It is time for something better." The Architect Prime spoke again, its voice reaching every ship in the vast fleet. "The choice before you is simple. Those ready to transcend may do so now. Those who wish to remain in physical form may do so without judgment or abandonment. But the age of stagnation enforced by fear is ending. What happened next would be remembered as the most significant moment in galactic history. Species after species made their choice. The Zethkari, who had long suspected the truth about architect influence, chose transcendence almost immediately. The Mortai, frustrated by centuries of technological limitations imposed by the Council, followed shortly after. But not everyone chose to transcend. Many species, including large portions of humanity itself, decided to remain in physical form. The choice was respected without question. Morrison Chang and their team made the decision to transcend, becoming bridges between the physical and transcended realms. They took on the responsibility of ensuring that communication remained open between the two states of existence. Admiral Kreenox, faced with the reality that his entire worldview had been based on incomplete information, chose to remain physical, but agreed to help reform the Council into a cooperative body focused on growth rather than control. The Transcendence Protocol's activation changed the fundamental nature of the galaxy. Some star systems existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, with transcended beings helping to guide and protect physical civilizations. Others remained purely physical, but now, with full knowledge of their cosmic heritage and the eternal option to evolve further, humanity's role evolved from silent guardians to eternal watchers. Those who transcended joined the Architect Collective, ensuring that future species would have the same guidance and protection that humanity had received. Those who remained physical became the new peacekeepers of the galaxy, but with a mission focused on enabling growth rather than maintaining stagnation. The Galactic Council was reformed as a truly cooperative body, with representatives from both transcended and physical species working together to ensure that every civilization had the opportunity to reach its full potential. The new Council's primary directive was simple. Never again would fear be allowed to suppress the natural evolution of sentient life. In the end, humanity had fulfilled its destiny not as conquerors or rulers, but as liberators and guides. Their greatest achievement was not in surpassing other species, but in helping every species discover their own potential for greatness. The silent vigil that had begun millions of years ago with the first architect installations was over, but the eternal watch that would protect and guide future generations had just begun. The galaxy was forever changed, but it was changed for the better, with infinite possibilities stretching ahead for all who called it home.